Welcome back to another episode of Cavanaugh's Corner. Today, I'm going to be looking at a movie that I absolutely love and adore, and I'm very excited to talk to you about this. This is one of the best movies ever made, in my opinion. It's definitely a top 10 movie for me, and I'm going to be talking about this new director's definitive edition of Heat on Blu-ray. This is not a 4K Blu-ray, but it is a new 4K meticulous remaster of the film that Michael Mann did not too long ago. And I have to say, this is one of the best Blu-ray releases I've seen in a while, especially for a movie that's a little bit older. A movie came out in the 90s, 95, I think. I was only 5 years old when this movie came out, but it is a stupendous release, and I really wanted to talk to you about it because for a while, I thought, you know, the original Blu-ray, which I have right here, this is the original release of Heat from Warner Brothers. This was not too bad. This was actually one of the better Blu-ray movies I owned, but this puts it to shame, and I'm going to talk to you about it just right now. I'm going to put the original one over here for a minute just because we'll talk about that in a minute. But basically, Heat is a crime drama starring Al Pacino and Robert De Niro. Al Pacino is a cop, and Robert De Niro is a thief. He's a bank robber, heist master, basically. And he's a very brilliant thief. And it's basically how they go head-to-head in this movie. And it's much more about characters than it is about action. But the action that's in this film is legendary. It's amazing. And this has definitely, in my opinion, one of the best shootouts ever put on film. It is astounding, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute. But honestly, what I'm really here to talk about today is the technical aspects of this release, because the movie itself it's a perfect film, basically. There's not a missed note in this whole movie. But I want to talk to you about this release here. Now, this release, as I mentioned earlier, is a totally new transfer, which is supervised by Michael Mann and the original director of photography. And I have to say, this movie is stupid good looking. There is not much about this movie that is not good looking. Dante Spinati, who is one of the best one of the best directors of photography that's ever lived, did this movie. And thankfully, he's still around to kind of see what's going on with this print. And this transfer is hands down the best this movie's ever looked. The color palette is very different from this other release here. For whatever reason, this other release is, I don't know why, but this release here had kind of a weird picture tone to it. It was almost like the movie had a bluish tint throughout the film. And a lot of movies that came out on Blu-ray when this format first kind of came into existence, for whatever reason, everybody wanted to have a blue tint on Blu-ray. They just thought, oh, it's Blu-ray, we got to put blue in it. Not always the case, but this one here had a lot of blue tint to it, and the color palette of the movie did have blue in it at times, but it wasn't throughout the film. And I remember seeing it back in the day, and not seeing it in theaters, but seeing it on other releases, and the movie was not blue, but in this one it was blue. This one here, this new release, Michael Mann has definitely gone back and corrected the color palette. It is much more natural now. A lot of scenes don't have that weird kind of turquoise, bluish tint to it anymore, which is good. Especially near the end of the movie when Al Pacino and Robert De Niro finally face off near the very end of the movie. It's much darker than it was in the other print, and I actually went back and rewatched this older version to kind of compare it. And this is a much better looking version, especially with the modern, 4K TVs. This is a much better looking version. And I really love the fact that the movie finally has kind of a very natural tone throughout. Whereas, again, this other one here had that weird tint on and off, and I didn't like that. The special features that are new to this disc are pretty great. There's a panel with Pacino, De Niro, director Michael Mann, Dante Spinati, a very sick Val Kilmer, which was kind of sad to see. He's a great actor. I really like him, but I guess he was not very he was not well during the panel that's in this, and he has like a swollen tongue, and it's kind of, I was like, what the hell happened with Val? But he's all right. I love Val. He's great. And it was cool to hear his opinion of working on the movie with these other legends that are in it. A lot of the other stuff is carryovers from the older disc, but still good to have it in case you get rid of it. It's a 2-disc set, and I really enjoyed this. I really, really loved this release. You can get this for like $6 to $7 or something right now. It is just, for the money, I mean, this is amazing. It's an amazing release. The audio is improved a little. I couldn't really tell much of a difference between one and the other. It's better, I can tell you. It does sound a little bit stronger than the other release. This one here has a DTS HD Master audio mix. It's 5.1, and it is, again, it gets pretty loud, but I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed this. Again, it's finally a perfect release. The only thing I could wish for in the future is that they put out a 4K Ultra HD disc of this, because I did watch this movie upscaled to 4K on my TV, but I think HDR would make this movie even better than it already is. Although, again, it was shot on film, so, this may be the best we get, but if it came out in the future, I would definitely buy this in 4K Ultra HD just to have it in 4K Ultra HD. Just to have it in that format is worth it. But this is just an absolutely phenomenal release. For the money, it cannot be beaten, and I highly, highly recommend Heat. If you like this movie, then you are going to love this new remaster of it. It is just, it's astounding. It's really astounding, and I can't get enough of this movie. The one thing I thought was weird, though, and I don't know how this happened. I didn't do much research of how this happened, but this movie has changed hands recently as well. This is a 20th Century Fox release, whereas the movie originally came out through Warner Brothers. And I don't know how Warner Brothers lost the rights to this movie, or if they sold it or something, but for whatever reason, Heat's now owned by 20th Century Fox, which I thought was kind of weird, and they've actually dropped the Warner Brothers logo from the beginning of the movie, which I thought was really strange, but it doesn't really do much to the film. The film still is a phenomenal movie, and it still looks better than ever, but I just thought that was really weird that Warner Brothers is out of the picture all of a sudden with this. I don't know. I don't get it. But anyway, I'm Andrew Cavanaugh. Thank you for coming back to Cavanaugh's Corner. If you want to see more reviews like this, please subscribe to the channel. And if you like this video, hit that thumbs up button. It helps me out quite a lot. But anyway, stay tuned for more Blu-ray and 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray reviews right here on Cavanaugh's Corner. Thank you very much. Take it easy.